Welcome back to Endless Space 2. I'm playing as the Hissho, who are based around honor and fighting and all that jazz. I don't really know what I'm doing. And there you go, you're about caught up. So, I think this turn is basically ready to end right off the bat. Let me just finish off my exploring here. Okay, so there's another system up here. Now, there were a few things I skipped over last time, just for the sake of simplicity and not front-loading things. Your scouts have the ability to not just look at anomalies, but they can also fire their probes off to a random direction, or direction you choose. And each one of those little rings on here is basically one turn of distance for it. So if I fire it, say, this way, it's going to keep inching along over time. What's nice about that is normally your movement is confined to these lanes, but it's a good way to find shortcuts or systems that are not connected normally. So we got a huge desert. Nice anomaly on there. Another large desert. A tiny savanna. To me, this seems like a very good system to colonize. Probably the savanna. So I should probably kind of get my research going towards that. But I also need to knock these pirates out. There we go. I also need to knock these pirates out that are in the way because they are going to strangle my colonization efforts. Okay. The behemoth has completed its action. Which I believe is the mining? Yeah, but I think it needs one more turn for it to kind of regrow. Alright. Now I think we're good to proceed. Yeah, that guy is still in motion. But you, Mr. Scout. I think I'm having him just hang out for a little bit with the intent to scan this planet, which I can colonize now. Alright, so another system I didn't show off last time is there's a political system in this game. Basically, the more you do certain types of actions, the more you kind of sway your people and how they feel about certain things. I'm going to go with militarists, because I really want to expand in that way. But I don't think I'm going to make too much of a difference. Actually, it's a dictatorship, never mind, so I have complete control. Some empires, they have a... Actually, maybe I will stick with scientists for now. Yeah, I'll do that. So, my empire is a dictatorship, so they don't get an opinion, basically. Sad to say. But sometimes you play other empires and they have people that are a lot more... they're a lot more easily molded by your actions. So you have to... Sometimes it's like... If you fight forever and ever, never in a defensive war, every time you build a ship, it's gonna like slightly convince people to become more militarist, and then sometimes that war will be over and people will still be militarist, and you have to kind of walk them down from that. So let's see. Investigate 10 new curiosities. I get a probe microfactory, which is a support module that makes probes have a quicker cooldown. Or I can discover 4 systems outside my constellation and get a scavenger ram scoop. Personally, I love the ram scoop. To me, it's way, way, way better. But I think it probably depends on how you play and what you're going for. Because, I mean, like, you can get a lot of science just from exploring anomalies. So if you have really fast scout ships with lots of probes on them and they're refreshing really quick, you could probably get a lot of extra resources and science out of that. But for me, I like the Scavenge Ram Scoop because it gives you a good amount of movement points, but also makes it so your movement points take you just a little bit further. So it's really good once you start getting these big, heavy ships, and it's a good way to kind of squeeze some extra speed out of them. Now we got our first battle here. Too bad they have made a mistake. Alright, so this is what the battles look like. If you've played any game like, say, Total War, this probably looks pretty familiar to you. It's basically the balance of our power, right? So in this case, I've got them almost completely eclipsed. Now, the thing about it is, I'm trying to think of the best way to quickly describe how the combat system works in this game. So basically the idea is that you can do the battles out, you can watch the battles happen, so you can see more details, but basically there's 3 lanes. Depending on how many ships you are, is how many ships are divided between the lanes, and they all have different like ranges. So for instance, if I choose the turtle plan here, my ships will be short range. They're going to be right up in there, which is really good if you have things like machine guns or ballistics or whatever. Whereas if you have something like power to shields, this gives you an extra bonus to shield absorption, which is good when your enemy has like beam weaponry. And it's very good if you have things like rockets that are really good at long range. So in this case, I need to actually see what I have. So my scout ship is, see at the bottom left there, its range accuracy is 85% on short. So its weapons are generally better suited for short. My flagship is pretty good at everything. So I'm thinking I'll probably go with gravity distortion, because that's kind of in the middle where they both are, and that's where their most overlap is. We'll watch it out, just so you guys can see that. Now, this battle probably won't be too exciting to watch, but as the game progresses and you get these bigger fleets and battles and more complicated actions, it turns into quite the light show. So this is my scout ship. So it looks like I've mostly got ballistics. There's also a mode where you can do free camera, so you can kind of look around almost like an FPS. And there they go. Okay, so you don't actually have to watch those out. It's not like Total War where you want to do them all out. You don't need to worry about doing that. But it is sometimes nice for the spectacle of it all. It is also nice because it gives you an easier way to see what is happening. Like, sometimes you'll be like, I have this amazing fleet. It's way stronger than them, and then you bring it into battle and your fleet dies, and you're like, what happened? And then when you rewatch the battle, you'll see, oh, they had, you know, 1 million fighters, or they used a different type of weapon that I wasn't defending against, or something along those lines. Sometimes it's very useful. Okay. I'm trying to think what I want to do about these pirates. I want to crush them, but I don't think I have like the manpower to at the moment. So I think I need to wait until I get my new ship module, which is coming in 3 turns. So that's cool. I should probably also start leaning into military research a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that to unlock the next tier. So, since I am going to be immediately raiding a place, I think I'm going to go with autonomous construction, which is going to let me get bigger fleets, but more importantly, tanks. All right. I think I'll keep heading this way temporarily. It's like one of those things where I'm like, I'm gonna have to circle back inevitably. Let's do my mining probe. Shoot it out here, I suppose. Put a probe there as well. Jadonics. Excellent stuff. Okay, so my hero's leveled up from that battle. Let's give him another new trait. I like fleet health, but also I think I might go with grease the wheels. Ships are really expensive. It can be a little rough in your economy, and sometimes right off the bat in this game, your economy is very frail. The wind blows and you're like, no, my precious economy. All right, so now we have some new food improvements, which is great because our system is actually getting filled up pretty quick. Let's see here. What do I want to go for next? I mean, a brood ship seems nice, but realistically, that's probably not going to happen for a little bit. I think I'm gonna colonize this snow planet, which is gonna happen pretty quickly. Then I'm gonna build, I think, food. Okay, here's the part where I have to do some math here. It's plus 10%, but it's also 10% food per luxury deposit. If I colonize here, there's 2 luxury deposits. So it's plus 20, and then plus 10%. That's a pretty good chunk there. This one scales more on the amount of people, so I think I'm going to build this one first. I think that makes the most sense. Okay. Move that along. Alright, next turn. Sometimes these early turns fly right by. Okay, so my hack is successfully, if you remember, I was hacking the minor civilization near me. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to improve my image with them. This basically is just a free way to make them like you. And there we go. Free admiration's not so bad. Alright, let's probe here. High energy plasma sphere. Oh, I love the art in this game. Look at that. Mwah! This gives a little bit of defensive capacity. That's basically the number of soldiers that live on the planet. Some science, actually not some science, a good amount of science, and some production. Handy. Send a fleet to the quest marker. Oh, that seems easy. And then the other one here I found was the long season for anomaly. And that. Okay. Do I want to analyze the planet? I think I do. Let's take a look at what my science income is. 117. Taking off 10 is I think that's fine. I think that's acceptable. Okay. Oh yeah, I need to do another hack. So you can also hack the pirates, which is pretty nice. You can get things like, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. You can basically manipulate them in all sorts of ways. You can steal resources from them. You can make their next ships stronger. You can make their next ship take longer. That sort of thing. So like if you have one that's not really near you, but near someone you don't like, you can like make the pirates stronger and more common, which is pretty cool. It's a nice way to be just an annoying little thorn in their side. In this case, I am going to hack the minor civilization again. You do also have some diplomacy options with the pirates, but I don't think I get access to them. Nope. The bottom left there, your empire will not deal with honorless pirate scum. But other empires, they actually can click on that and they can talk to the pirates and give them gifts and befriend them. There's a system where you can buy pirate marks, which basically lets you, pretty much, it's like basically a big target that you can stick on someone and be like, I want you to attack them. And the pirates will go and attempt to attack them. and then they'll give you a cut of what they steal, which usually isn't really that worth it in my experience, other than just being annoying. You know, I haven't really run into a case where I've like made my return back on making them attack someone. All right, so I got Claw class ships, which are the like an actual attack ship, and I have the Hover class ship, which is a protector. I also upgraded my behemoths, which is like cool, I guess. Okay. Cool. So now the minor faction is amicable towards me, because I made them like me. So they are going to be giving me a little bit of their resources, which is great. Alright, how's this ship doing? It has only one probe right now. But this system is basically done being probed, so I'm going to move him over here to Soidan. I guess I'll do Tiny Arid next. Probe there. What we got? Seismic activity. We got +1 science, -1 dust. Some influence. Influence is one of those things. It very commonly goes from like, Psh, this is useless, to, oh my god, I need so much more. Because the problem you'll most run into it, the problem you'll run into most often with it is that you need it to run these laws up here. I don't have any activated at the moment, but because I'm the science political party, I have this law automatically is on at all times. I can't turn it off until I change parties. But you have these 2 slots. And inside here is a bunch of laws that you end up unlocking over time. Basically, every time the same political party is put into place, it gets kind of like upgraded. And when it does, you unlock new laws. So if you specialize, you can unlock some really powerful laws. But the problem is that most of them scale off of influence. So this one is +1 influence per person per turn. And this one is +2. Or rather, costs 2 per turn. So very quickly, if your empire is very big, sometimes you'll implement a law and you'll kind of wipe your hands and be like, that law's great. And then a couple turns later, your population will, you know, grow a whole lot across your empire, and suddenly you're like, oh no, I'm in the negative. Next up, let's see. This place is, I'm really getting the feeling this place is just starting to really get under control. Food's doing great, which I'm very happy about. It's going to take 2 more turns for a population to grow, so that's what that little green bit is, and then there's the 1 more. So it looks like to me it's going to take roughly 4 turns for the next population, I think. I'm going off of memory here. So I think I'm going to go with intensive cultivation. Because I just really want to jumpstart this place. Okay. So let's see, this is colonized now, which is great. There is also an ability in this where you can actually move populations around, so you can click and drag them like that. That will kind of reorient them. Sometimes that's important because, for example, these guys here, their thing is that they give +1 influence on hot. So if they were over here, I wouldn't be getting that influence. So sometimes you have to play a little bit of a you have to swap them around to make things more efficient. But for the most part, I think the game is very good about allocating populations where it should, unless it doesn't have space. So we're doing great as far as that goes. So I guess next we're probably going to research or build military ships. I want to build a whole lot of them and just crush all the opposition. So here's your military screen, basically. Over here you have your ship designs. Basically the way that the game is set up is that you unlock classes of ships, you know, like the shells, and then it's up to you to fill them with stuff. And it does a pretty good job of automatically filling them, but sometimes you'll want to give it a personal touch. So for instance, here we have the hawk. And you'll see here it has all these different slots for different things. So it's got one thing to help its movement, it's got some armor, it's got guns. Different factions have different ships very slightly. I think they have very slightly different stats, but mostly they have different slots. So like, I think the Hissho might have, you know, an extra attack slot instead of a utility slot or whatever. I think that's something people say about the Hissho, which is my favorite faction, is I think the Hissho ships are actually surprisingly flexible. They have a lot of like general use slots, but that might have changed in the last few patches, who knows. I was looking to see if there was a particular module that I was looking for. I need to check and see where that lives. I think it's up in this tier. So it's probably not going to happen yet for a little bit. It's basically a tier that lets you fill your ships with more soldiers. And that way when you roll up to a place that you want to invade, you can just dump a ton of soldiers onto it. I think a mistake a lot of newbies make in this game is that they don't really have invasion modules like that. So when they go to invade a place, it's just kind of like grinding your face against a wall for, you know, 15 turns. And then by the time you conquer it, there's nothing there, you know? But if you have an actual invasion fleet, you can actually like grab stuff from it. You know, you can take over the planet within 2 turns instead of 15, which is significant. All right, I've got my Astrofinance all set now. Because my money is doing actually pretty good for the moment. Yeah, I don't think I need to build that building yet. But I may over here. It seems to me like I really need to research how to colonize. I think it's arid. I think I've been running into a lot of that lately. So I'm going to take a quick lookie here and see where is arid. Generally speaking, the technologies are pretty easy to follow as far as colonization goes. Like, it starts off, like, if you, a human, wanted to settle on a planet, where would you start? You know, you'd say, okay, well, I want to live on a planet just like my own. And it's like, okay, that's not an option. What's next? How about a tundra planet and a Mediterranean planet? Yeah, okay, that seems pretty easy. Then it kind of gets more advanced. You know, snow planets, ice planets. There's gas giants somewhere. I think it's in a different spot. Desert planets. You know, that sort of thing. I think the Riftborn are the opposite, though. I think so. The Riftborn are a faction of basically. It's not accurate, but I guess for the sake of conjecture, they're basically robot people that hate life. They're just like, ew, gross. They come from a universe where life isn't a thing, so they're really grossed out by it. And their whole thing is that they love living on sterile planets and hate living on planets that are fertile. So if I remember correctly, I think their colonization research is backwards compared to everyone else's, where it's like they start out and they're like, heck yeah, barren planets. And then as time goes on, they're like, fine, we'll live on a Terran planet. They do also have the ability to terraform things into worse planets, or things into more sterile planets, and everyone else eventually unlocks the ability too. Riftborn are cool. I've only played them once or twice. The thing that makes them interesting is that their population does not grow, it has to be built. So obviously they want to be very industrially capable. Okay, so we got impervious bunkers, we got chain gang program. Next up is that, okay. So I've unlocked the next tier of the military. So I have some extra goodies. I have extra capacity on my fleets. I have extra manpower. I have some new modules. All right. Oh, I forgot to shoot this probe, didn't I? Maybe it just refreshed last turn. Oh, I just colonized that, that's why. I mean, that's fair and understandable, to be honest. guess I'll do the huge Arctic. Though I am tempted by the production and extra money from this one, so I think I'll do that. Okay. Next up, let's do some more probing. Boop, boop. Okay. Fun thing I want to do is I want to go over here to my Hawk. And personally, I like doing this. I think a lot of people don't, but there's the auto upgrade, which is basically like Hawk as it stood had the really basic military stuff built into it. I've unlocked new stuff. You can just press auto upgrade and it'll bump it all up a tier if you have it. So let me just like auto upgrade everything basically. I don't think I need to auto upgrade my colony ship though. I am thinking of maybe adding another speed module, but I don't think I need to worry about that at this time. Okay. Now we have all that. Let's grab, some of these. Let's take a couple turns to kind of mature, but I think it will be worth it. So now I have a bunch of ships under construction. This place is growing very nicely now. No, it still looks like it's only taking 3 turns to grow up. Oh, it might be because of carryover. I might not have worked that into my calculation. Okay. Once that's done, let's get some production here. And I guess science. Then, I guess I also want the interplanetary transport network because this one scales really well if you have strategic resources, which I do. In fact, it might actually... Well, let's see. This one's going to give fertile planet and temperate. Okay, yeah, never mind. Xeno-industrial infrastructure is going to give 30 because the one planet I have colonized is a planet, it's fertile, and it's temperate. So I'm going to get all 3. Sometimes that's a little tough to kind of make all those line up, and sometimes that one isn't always worth it. But, you know, sometimes it is, so... So I'm very much looking forward to getting my hero over there. Great. All right. Now, one thing that often gets missed by new players as well is I've just unlocked armor as a concept. So if you open up the military screen, you'll see over here, you know, has your manpower, blah, 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 but it has your troops breakdown. By default, it's going to be 100% infantry, because you haven't unlocked the other stuff. So you actually need to go into manage here, and you need to choose the percent that you want to be armor and infantry. Generally speaking, once you unlock armor, just go whole hog in it at first. The reason for that is because infantry is basic, and it works fine. Armor's a straight upgrade to it, but armor counters infantry, as well as doing more damage to them. The only thing that counters armor is air, which you won't have access to until later in the game. So because armor starts off not having a counter, you can just lean into it. You can also upgrade your individual types of soldiers. So I am really thinking about upgrading my armor, but I think I'm going to hold off. But obviously, if you stick with just infantry over armor as a new player, you probably won't need to worry about it too much. This is what I meant when I first started, when I said this game has just like a million layers to it. So I totally feel for anyone who hasn't played this game before or is very new to it, because it's just, I mean, like, look at this. How do you process all that? Okay, so looking at my military technology here, the only the only strategic resource I have access to right now is Hyperium up here. I don't have titanium yet. One thing that's interesting is that you get a choice over here. This is an or. You can pick one or the other. If you pick one, it shuts the other one off, so you can't research it. So if I get Hyperium, that gives me a lot of Hyperium-based like beam weaponry, which is really cool. There's also other stuff. What's nice about this game too is that generally speaking, you can see what different parts of a technology cost, right? Like, say titanium electroplating, right? You can see this is blue and this is blue. What else is blue? Titanium. This is this sort of dark red color. It requires adamantium. You know, this one's white, so it's just generic. This one up here requires an orange resource, which is the antimatter. It's very intuitive and nice, which I like. I also like, so one of the things that happens to me, and I hope it's not too confusing, is that because I have played this game a million times over, I can instantly look at, say, this technology and be like, oh yes, I know what all that is. So I apologize if I'm skipping over what certain technologies do. Alright, so. Where is Arid anyway? There's Arid. Yeah, I think I'll go for that. It's only going to cost me 1 turn. In fact, I might just do a quick swing by all these, because these only take me 1 turn right now to research and get that going. Xenology is also tempting. Okay, so. I feel like I'm doing pretty good as far as a lot of my stuff goes. So I'm going to do neural robotics. Neural robotics is really good because it gives you access to a new strategic resource that you may not know it exists yet. But also gives you these industrial zones, which is a specialization. So this is something you put on an individual planet in your system. And this one in particular gives you production and extra production if the planet is hot. So if it's a lava planet or a jungle or whatever, you get that extra production, which is great. It's just a nice way to kind of get some extra stuff out of it. And they're usually really cheap to build too, so it's like practically free. It's going to cost you like 1 turn. Unless you like go for it right at the start. Alright. So these hawks are well underway. This place is growing up really good. I'll probably end up colonizing one of these. Alright. I'm going to do assist here. Because assist lets you assimilate them. You just have to do a quest for them. And if you don't like the quest, you don't have to do it. Take control of a planet in take control of a planet in a new system adjacent to safe. Let's see here. I've unlocked some new science buildings, and now I can colonize Arid. I'm going to improve my image again. Alright, so now this place is growing up very fast and nice. Let's, I think I'm going to colonize this Arid planet next. Even though it has seismic activity, which is going to cost me a little bit of money, or at least make it so I don't make money.
Has a request for you.
All right, so another important aspect of this game, if you have the last expansion, the name, I think it's Awakening. I don't know. The name escapes me, but it adds a whole new system where there's an academy. Who's this guy? It's one system somewhere in there, but basically it's where your heroes come from and learn and blah blah blah. But he'll sometimes have these requests. So
Speak quickly.
here you get to basically, he's going to pick a resource and say, hey, I want this. So in this case, he's picking influence. Basically, you start donating to him. Basically, you have a certain amount of time left to fill the academy's coffers. So basically, you pick your priority on which one of these you want. And pretty much top bidder gets what they want. Everyone else gets their, it's kind of like ranked choice voting or whatever, where it's like, well, you didn't get your first pick, but hey, maybe you can get the second one now. So basically, the more you donate, the more likely you are to get what you want. Best thing right off the bat, objectively, is the Spirit of Isandir, which is the Academy's fleet that they just hand you. And this fleet is like crazy powerful right off the bat. It starts off completely filled with manpower. It's like 20 times more powerful than anything anyone has right now. When you get this, you can literally just fly it over to your neighbor and kill them. So, if you can, definitely get Spear of Isandir because it's very powerful. The AI is pretty good about not killing you with it. But that being said, if you're playing against a fellow human and they are that kind of person and they are that guy, or maybe you are that guy, get your hands on it, because if you don't get your hands on it, someone else will, and they'll kill you. So basically, there's the fleet, there's the Vault Keeper, which is you get basically like the law system I showed earlier. You get to see all the laws available. You get to access all the ones that you wouldn't normally be able to access. So it's a great way to, if you have lots of influence income, to pick and choose and like do stuff you normally wouldn't be able to or be limited to. You can kind of like do crazy min-max stuff. It also means that you can react to basically any situation. Lots of different laws have different different branches of the laws have different abilities, and maybe you're getting attacked really hard by someone, and there's two different, there's the militarist and the pacifist laws that are really good for defense or something like that, and you could put those babies on and be uncrackable. So, after that, it's the Master of Dust, which I actually don't know if I've ever actually gotten my hands on. It is economical grants. So I think you can basically pay dust to manipulate people or change their standing. I don't know. I've never really used it, to be honest. I don't really play the factions that are really money heavy. And there's the Librarian, which really isn't much. This basically just lets you see who other heroes are in the galaxy and what they're up to / how leveled they are, blah, 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 that sort of thing. Mostly this is just kind of a compensation prize where it's like, sorry you came in last place, but hey, here's a trophy. So I've unlocked some new probes and colonized steppes. Next up is savannas, which I'm very excited about. Hey, now they're friendly. And I've achieved my objective of building 2 ships with defensive power. So now I got a random technology from them, which was ended up being improved fleet management, which gives me access to bomber and fighters, which are basically there's certain modules, certain ship hulls that can hold these, and they basically fly out and they do stuff. So the bombers will fly to other ships and start busting them up. Whereas the fighters, they're not really good at fighting other full ships, but they're really good at fighting bombers and other fighters. So they're pretty good in that respect. And they're one of those things that can kind of sneak up on you a little bit. They're never really enough that you're like, this is changing the game. Successfully invade and occupy 1 system. Cool. Huh. The Academy's there now. That's a little weird. Alright, let's move everyone along a little bit. There's a new pirate fleet somewhere. One thing I want to do real quick is I'm going to modify Kestrel, because I've just unlocked a new module for it, which is this, OPEX gear. This is the one that I was talking about earlier, where it increases the amount of soldiers you can fit onto it, and then when you actually go to invade somewhere on land, it lets more of them come out at once. Generally speaking, it's very good. So we'll go ahead and add just one of those. I'm going to be a little bit modest. So I'm going to cancel the one that's in there, and I'm going to re-put it out. So in 2 turns, we'll be good to go. Alright, I suppose that's probably a good spot to end it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed. I think we got a lot of work done. We got kind of our bearings, and I think we're ready to start doing some crazy stuff. So basically my plan is to knock these guys out. I was going to colonize there, but now I think I'm going to fight whoever's there. I need to find a technology that lets me leave, because where I am is kind of a dead end right now. Then, you know, we'll fight everyone everywhere all the time, and they'll deal with it. But thanks for watching. Take care.